Hello and welcome to the Arventa podcast on how to run the business efficiently. It's the Irish SME business today, and I would like to welcome Brandon from Venture Network to the podcast. Hi, Brandon. How are you?
Good morning, Daria. How are you? I'm very good. After a great weekend that we had here, it's fantastic.
That's brilliant, brilliant to hear. So, just to set the scene, can you please tell a bit about Venture Network, what it does in Ireland, what the business is about, and how it supports others?
Yeah, so Venture, it's was set up about 17 years ago, and it was set up by a guy called Sheikh Al, who's my business partner. And what we are about is really building a community of business owners who get to know one another very, very well, build relationships, and then share connections with each other in an effort and to help each other's business grow. One of the biggest things that we get in venture is the trust that we build up with one another. It's very hard to pass on referrals or connections to people that you don't know and trust. So over a period of weeks, months, we build those relationships through having weekly meetings. There's probably 20 to 25 in each branch. And those 20 to 25 people get to know each other very, very well over the weeks and months that they spend with Venture. But the whole purpose of it is to help one another to grow their business
That's
through.
brilliant. I think it's a brilliant initiative for Irish SME scene because support to each other, not only in the referrals perspective, but in general, giving advice or helping them with useful information, it's extremely valuable. So, Brandon, if we're talking about your business, how difficult is it from day-to-day perspective to run your business?
What a great question. I should say it's not difficult at all. I have great members and we all work very, very well together. But like any business, it's challenging. It's challenging because, especially when the economy is very, very strong, like our Irish economy is at the moment, people feel that the business is coming in anyway, and they probably feel they don't need connections. There's a new generation of young people coming up who don't really understand what networking is, and they're missing out on opportunities even when they work from home. They miss out on the connection that they have with other people, learning from each other on the job. So I find one of the biggest challenges at the moment would be the recruitment of new members, the continued involvement of existing members, helping to grow the network, letting their own network outside venture know about venture and bringing visitors along to each of the meetings. Like I often say to members, like visitors, when they come to our meetings, it's not about joining venture, but it's about creating new opportunities for everybody else and everybody in the room. And what happens is sometimes when the visitor comes along, just like you did, Daria, they like what they see the connection, they see where the value is, and they decide to join the network and then it grows organically. But like most businesses, I would suggest the biggest challenge is finding the new customers, getting your message out there to the right audience. So yeah, it can be challenging, but I really love what I do. I'm all about helping people. And
That's interesting what you touched. You touched the generation gap and reaching out to new members. If we look at the from the perspective of reaching out to the new members and this gap in generations who like to work remotely, who like to see things remotely, who don't understand really what networking is. If you can give a little bit of the insight. How do you reach out to different generations? Do you use social media? What tools do you use for social media posting? Is there anything that you're doing to stand out there to make sure that you're touching different types of generations with your messaging and with your outreach tools?
So yeah, our main focus probably is LinkedIn in terms of social media and how we gather the audience in social media. It would be we're looking at busy professionals and business professionals, who would be, excuse me, members of the LinkedIn social media. But we don't do enough. Probably, I would suggest on the likes of maybe Instagram or TikTok. Not sure about TikTok just at the moment, but no. In answer to your question, we do reach out through social media. We do reach out through our members, trying to bring in other members, and we do reach out through some of our newer members, and they would be younger members who may work out of digital hubs or may work out of startup hubs, and we do reach out to those as well. But in terms of having a strategic focus and having a strategic plan in place to recruit from the younger generations, I would suggest that it's something we're still working on and we need more clarity on for ourselves in the business.
That's interesting. You also mentioned the two channels, the LinkedIn and then the Instagram, because they're two different channels. They might be reaching out to the same or different type of generations as well.
Okay.
And do you do everything manually, or you have certain tools that you schedule the post, that creates the post for you, that runs social media for you?
So so we do use a little bit of AI on LinkedIn, and they help us to schedule posts. We would read those posts, approve those posts, and make sure they're within this. They reflect the values of venture. So I use a company called Coso.ai, and what they do is they create posts for us. They might create them on a Friday evening. I would check them over on a Monday morning, and then I will either edit them, approve them, or discard them, depending on what the content is. But generally, what works for us is we would give them some suggestions for our posts. It might be about new members. It might be about members that are there for a number of years and they're celebrating anniversaries, or it might be just some general information about networking in general. But it has to lie within the values and the parameters of what venture stands for. Like venture is not just about making connections. It's not just about making connections to other businesses. It is about, building one's confidence through constantly being offered the opportunity to speak at our meetings. One member every week will get the opportunity to present on his or her business to the other members. It's about being there and supportive to one another. So anything that we post has to be within our values and has to align with the values of venture.
Absolutely, because you're communicating your brand out there. And if we're looking into from the perspective of the members, because you have a big network of members, how do you manage them? Do you have a specific CRM system where you track them, or and information about them, or how do you normally
Okay.
have the data?
So until very recently, we probably didn't have a regular CRM system. I have instigated something there recently with one of the members of the network, but there's always room for improvement and always room for development. So at the moment, we don't align, everything doesn't align. You might have to have a little bit of repeat input in terms of, capturing all of the data and being able to collate all the data together in one place. I know you've shown me a system recently, where that seems to be what you're offering, and I'm very eager to see, can we implement what Arventa does in terms of managing that day-to-day business, managing the accounts for us, managing our social media posts, and then reporting back to us saying and telling us this has happened, that has happened. Here's a tracking of what results we've had, or what reactions we've had in terms of the posts that you're putting out. So there is that need to probably collate all of the information in one place. Having said that, what I have at the moment is a lot better than what I had 3 years ago when I joined Venture. We put something in place now which is helping us to move more and more towards that one solution for managing a small, like we're not a huge business. There's two owners in the business. We've got 50, 60 members. We will have more, but at the moment it's a small business that we're trying to manage. And I say members because we are a membership organization. People apply to join the network and become part of what it is that we do. But we would also say once a Venturian, always a Venturian, because those connections are made, those relationships are there. And once they're established, that doesn't change.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. Because you see, the interesting part that say in all this that you have something managing your social media, then the tool separately managing the CRM, so they don't talk to each other, which creates a bit of a challenge for you, right? So you
Yeah.
need to be on top of the information, maybe like sending the newsletters and everything to them.
Yes.
So and if you compare it, and really interesting, you compare that you are in better position now than several years ago. How did you come up with the selection of those tools to improve your operations? Was that based on your business need? Was that based on that you didn't have control over the information you had? Was that somebody stepped in and said, like, Brandon, it would be better if you have something in place, to have something structured? What was the push for you to transform digital? Let's put it this way.
Initially, the push for me was I didn't have sight of the historic data of the business. So when I went to do some due diligence on the business when I was buying it, there wasn't access to historical information without going through sheets of paper or without going through lots of these separate Google documents and Google files and all of that. And really what I saw at that stage was an opportunity for developing more of a system for our business, and building something around that would help me get access to member data quicker, to build up a database for the business itself, to show its successes, and show its successes, because a lot of what we had was anecdotal, without going back through separate pages and pages of information. And I spoke about it with one of our members. In fact, one of our members spoke about it with me. He came to our meetings and he said, Brendan, why are you always writing down every single bit of information? If members were able to report that information before the meetings could become a lot more efficient in terms of talking about the interactions that they've had during the week, as opposed to just recording the interactions that they've had during the week. So it was a combination of me seeing a need for building up a data around the business and a system that connected everything together, and also then members saying to me, Brendan, here is a solution or a part solution, and we can build on it in time when we can afford more and all of that. So yeah, I mean, it was a combination of two things, and that's one of the things I like, Daria, and you have been instrumental in this as well, hugely. The support the business gets from its members is fantastic. Like, we're a very unusual business where all of our clients meet each other every week. And to see the support from individual clients coming back into the business, it's not just about them and what they're getting from Venture, but it's how they can help make Venture better. It's fantastic. And personally, you have been super in that respect from my point of view. And I know Shay would feel the same about it. You have an energy about you that's fantastic. And that's why I know Arventa is going to be one of the products of the future.
Thank you so much, Brandon. So I really like that how you structured. So you didn't have the historical data, you needed a system, and you needed to have a structure. So I think that's something that a challenge is that a lot of businesses, not only the networking business, face in Ireland.
I think so. I think so. I think for smaller businesses, most smaller businesses probably feel it's a big investment to try and get something like this across, or to build something like this into your business. And I think that without doing the investigation of what's available in the marketplace, that is what stops a lot of smaller businesses creating that system that helps them to manage their business. There's a number of things. One, they don't know it exists. Two, they don't understand technology. And three, maybe the cost is prohibitive, or they feel that it's prohibitive. So, but I do think going through all of the different businesses that I've been involved in, unless it was a large um, corporate, like I worked for a number of corporates back in the day, the smaller businesses, I don't think put the same emphasis on having the right systems in place. Whereas if they did, they could spend more time developing the business as opposed to trying to manage down in the weeds of the business and getting caught in the mundane challenges of day-to-day business.
Yeah, I may drop an assumption here why this is not happening, because the majority of the products are designed for the high check,
Right.
and small business will say like, okay, that's designed for enterprise. If I go this route, I might get what I need from the point of making a system and creating the database and having everything that I want, but I may pay a lot of money because it's enterprise product. So yeah,
Yeah.
having something for small businesses, and doing the research is that if the products exist, that's a huge thing that I think every small business owner needs to do, because that's for the benefit, that's
Yeah.
for their growth, rather than getting stuck in some operational burden that might just eat up the time. And when I was doing the small research, I figured out that and on average, the small business owner micro company in Ireland, the business owner spends between half day to 1 day a week just doing the admin.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And if they don't do it during the busy working day, they extend their working day and they're doing it on their own free time or family time or whatever it should be. So yeah, I agree with you. The fact that most of us, and I include myself in that, don't have the correct system. And definitely we venture is in a better place than it was, I believe. But there's always room for improvement. But the fact that we don't have the correct system in place does does eat into our actual business development time or our personal time, whatever way you work your particular day. But yeah, 100%. There's definitely and you spoke about the enterprise level. Like we all know the HubSpots and the Zohos and the Monday, and there's lots of different CRM systems out there. But they do more than we need them to do for a small business, and therefore they're more expensive. Is 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 my understanding of it. And
You feel like you pay for something you don't use, but you
that you
don't
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 use.
have a
Absolutely.
choice.
That's right. You're paying for this huge um, um, infrastructure that you're using probably 10% of because the business isn't big enough to need all of what these bigger packages offer. These ERP or CRM systems, whatever you want to call them. Um, and I think, Daria, what you might have shown me um, about Arventa, I can see it being really, really useful for smaller businesses. And I think, businesses like some of the businesses that are in venture, they would be probably some of your ideal customers. But the challenge you probably have is getting people to engage and getting people to change. Certainly, I don't know whether it's just an Irish thing, but there's a huge amount of inertia in Irish people. And although we like and embrace technology, we're slow to change. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, there is a good saying. Everybody loves change, but
Yeah,
everybody is very slow to change.
correct, correct. And we do all change. We do all embrace, what's going to help us, but it's getting it to the point. I suppose we're fearful of change as well. We're fearful of what happens in that migration period when I'm moving from this system to that system. And I know you've
Absolutely.
already covered that with me personally to say that, there's no downtime. It's a smooth transition. So look, I think you're right when you're saying, how do I manage the business? Because I do manage it, but I manage up until recently, I was managing it very manually. Now I've moved to more digital management of it, but there certainly is room for improvement, and additional services that I need. And I think the onset of AI as well is going to be huge for smaller businesses if they embrace it. Like AI is going to make a lot of our mundane tasks an awful lot easier and more manageable, as long as we don't lose contact with why we're doing the things that we're doing.
That's important. Never lose
Very,
contact with why you
very
are doing what you do.
correct. Correct.
Because it's cool to have shiny tools all around, but do they do the work you need? Do they bring the final result you expect? I think that's the question before implementing any system, any digital tool, any software. Every business owner needs to ask, will it deliver what I want to see as the final result? Will it make my life easier, or will it make my life more complicated?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the key point. Thank you
And
so much, Brendan, for this. Yeah.
Daria, just on that last point as well, it's not just about having an easier life as well, but it's just trying to get that balance right so that we have, look, we have a seminar coming up next weekend, and it's all about selling your business, or how, when you're exiting your business, how do you exit? You have to have the right systems in place before you can actually exit your business. And that's what we're doing here. You know, we're building a system that works and helps your business thrive. It's not just about having an easier life, but it's about getting the systems in place so that your business is running smoothly and you have time to think about other things. How do I build my business? How do I develop my business? Not being caught in the weeds. But listen, I know it's
No,
you,
I like the way you mentioned a different angle. Like running business operations day to day is one thing, but when you exit the business, it's easier to do the due diligence with one click of a button rather than hours and days going through something that was done manually or from disconnected tools to be able to put this information together, analyze it, and make a decision. I think
that's
it's a
right.
brilliant point that you just made. So it's just thinking not only of the business today or tomorrow, but way ahead
Correct.
strategically on where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brendan, thank you so much. I think
Thank,
it was great and insightful, and from your business perspective. So I'm really grateful to have you on this podcast today. Thank you so much, and wishing you best of luck.
thank you, Daria. It's been great talking to you.